Hello, everyone. I see a number of you joining into the webinar right now. If you're here for the 7 reasons why your business should advertise on Facebook and how to do it right, then you're in the right place. And I appreciate you joining in on this webinar. We'll get started here in just another minute here. Just want to make sure everybody's getting on. We got a bunch of people still logging in, and I want to give them a chance to get settled before we get going. So if you haven't already, go ahead, grab some paper, grab a pencil. We have a lot of stuff to share today. Now is a great time if you'd like to get yourself a glass of water, run to the restroom, or finish up that last email. Whatever you need to do, we got about another 45 seconds, and I'll be right back with you momentarily. Okay, I still see a couple of more people coming in. I think we're going to have a full house today. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time and attention in joining us here today. We have a number of people still coming in, though, so just give me just a few more seconds. We're about to get started momentarily. And as I said earlier, now's a good time. Grab a pencil, grab some paper, because I got a lot of stuff to share with you. Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to join me today for this presentation. I'm going to show you the 7 reasons why your business should advertise on Facebook and how to do it right. Facebook obviously is in the press a lot. They're in the newspaper, they're in the media. And I think we've all been intrigued at how quickly it's grown and become a part of everyday culture. You've probably all heard the stories about how somebody is making a bunch of money with Facebook in one way or another. But I think what often doesn't get covered is how can the average small business owner take advantage of Facebook to market their products and services, and what are the strategies to do that effectively. So that's what we're going to cover in this presentation today. I should be able to get through this presentation in about 45 minutes or so, and then then you can get right back to your work day. So before we get started, just a couple of logistics here. One, I will be recording this presentation, so there's no need to take real intense notes. You can sit back and relax, and I'll send out the recordings so you can go back through it and cover anything that you need to cover again. Next, and most importantly, there's a questions box below this presentation on your screen. That's where you can ask me any questions you may have, and I will be happy to answer them. I'll definitely get to at least a handful of questions at the end of this presentation, and anything that I don't cover here at the end, either myself or someone from my staff will follow up with you directly to make sure that we do get your questions answered. So feel free to fire away questions. So a great time now. Turn off the cell phones, shut down that email, close out Facebook, and give me your undivided attention. And we will take you through how you can use Facebook to market, advertise, and grow your business. So the first question is, why Facebook? Why advertise my business on Facebook? Now, there are all kinds of options for you in terms of marketing, obviously. So why should you invest your time and energy and money on Facebook? Well, the first answer is that there's now 900 million or so, or right around 1 billion users on Facebook, which is roughly a fifth of the world's population, which is just incredible when you think about it. I mean, Facebook has been around just a little over 10 years, and now literally it just seems like it's taken over. It's so big and it's grown so fast. It really is amazing. But even more importantly than just the size, I really do believe that Facebook is a great example of the future of advertising. Now, why do I say that? Well, really, it comes down to these two words: demographics and psychographics. Now, you've probably heard the words demographics, but maybe you're not familiar with psychographics. Now, demographics is the information, the kind of data, the data about somebody, how old they are, whether they're male or female, how much money they make. There's demographic information. On the other hand, we have psychographic information, which is more about the person himself or herself. Like, for example, what are their interests? What are the things that they like or like to do? That's the psychographic information. And as you can imagine, that data combined is very, very powerful from a marketing perspective. Now, there's all kinds of advertising vehicles that you can use to market just on demographic data, but it's very hard to advertise truly on the psychographic information. Facebook is one of the only advertising platforms or channels that you have where you can really effectively target people based on both their demographic and their psychographic information. And that combination makes it a very, very powerful advertising option. Now, next is this number here, 7 hours and 46 minutes. 7 hours and 46 minutes is the average amount of time a user spends on Facebook each month. That's incredible. 7 hours and 46 minutes. And this presentation here is a little old, so that number is probably much higher now. 7 hours, 46 minutes. Now, that comes out to about 15 and a half minutes the average American spends on Facebook every single day of the week. Now, in certain markets, it's considerably more than that. And certainly certain users, it's considerably more than that. I mean, some people are literally glued to their Facebook account all day. But the reality is there are only a couple of other sites on the internet that get more attention than Facebook. Not many, but a couple. And for the most part, Facebook dwarfs just about any other site that you can think of in terms of the amount of time and attention that it gets from its typical user. Now, that combination of the psychographic and demographic targeting, combined with the fact that you're reaching somebody who's giving quite a bit of time and attention to the environment that you're advertising in, makes it super, super powerful. This is a super powerful advertising and marketing platform. My slides are getting stuck, so I apologize. So that's a high level reason why you should consider advertising on Facebook. But let me give you 7 very specific reasons to advertise on Facebook that are really, I think, unique to Facebook and Facebook alone. So first is reach. As I said, somewhere around 1 billion users are actively on Facebook. That is 51% of all the internet. Not everybody on the planet is an internet user, of course, but of those that are out there, Facebook has accounts with roughly 51%. And those numbers are just mind-boggling. The result of that is that there are a huge number of people in just about every group that you could possibly want to target. You can literally reach into any age group, male or female, living in just about any country of the world, with just about any type of interest or hobby that you can imagine. No matter who it is that you're trying to target, you're going to find them on Facebook, and you're going to find them in very large numbers, and you're going to have the ability to engage them in a variety of ways. So you're not going to just reach them with just one type of advertising. But Facebook has several ways that you can advertise to people within Facebook that gives you just that much more reach and that much more engagement with their users. So it really is hard to find, if not impossible to find, another advertising medium that you can use to target this many people. Alrighty, so next is precision targeting. Not only are you reaching just large amounts of people, but you can also target them very, very specifically. In fact, I've never seen any other advertising platform that allows you to target as specifically and precisely as Facebook, which is one of the things that I think that makes it the most valuable and most intriguing for small businesses like us to take advantage of. We don't have the money to waste on sloppy advertising, right? I mean, if we run an ad in our local city newspaper, 90% of the people that are seeing that ad may not be a good customer for you. But you still have to spend the money on them because you have to get that ad out there to everybody when you're using that form of advertising. Well, with Facebook, you can target on very specific data. I mean, look at this. You can target on their location all the way down to their zip code or area code. You can target on their age. You can target on their specific birthday. You can target based on their education levels. You can also target on where they went to school and exactly what class they graduated from. You can target based on their social connections, which, of course, the power of Facebook are the social connections. You can target based on the friends that they have, the group that they're a part of, and the things that they associate with socially. You can target on demographics, as I mentioned before, but you can also target on interest or on things like their favorite movie, their favorite restaurants, places that they like to travel. I mean, this is just incredible data that allows you to target very, very precisely and specifically. And then there's relationship status. If you're selling something related to relationship status, obviously lots of industries are driven and purchases are driven in those industries based on whether or not somebody is getting married or engaged. So if somebody's just changed their Facebook status to engaged, guess what? And you're in the wedding industry, now you can start putting ads that populate up to this particular person who just got engaged. Now you can run ads that show up on their Facebook or on their timeline, on their profile. I mean, this thing is amazing. There really is almost no end to how creative you can get by targeting on these different factors. And it's not as if you're targeting just one of these factors. You can combine them to create a level of targeting that is just absolutely precise. For example, let's say that you owned a children's toy store in Springfield, and you may want to target people who live in your city who are parents. Parents who have children who make a certain amount of money and maybe who have expressed interest in certain types of movies or Disney products or things like that. Well, you can get to that level of targeting on Facebook. Now your advertising budget or the amount of money you spend becomes very precisely targeted, and that leads to cost control. Advertisers in Facebook control how much they spend for each campaign, and the budgets can be very, very low. You can spend as little as, say, $50 a day in Facebook. Obviously, you can't spend that little doing television advertising or radio advertising or print ads in your newspaper, or you'll never actually get the opportunity to run ads. But with Facebook advertising, you can control your budget down to a very, very small level compared to the other types of advertising. But the most effective way of controlling your budget in Facebook is the fact that you have that very specific targeting. John Wanamaker famously said that half of his advertising was wasted. He just didn't know which half. Well, with Facebook, you do know which half because you can target your advertising so efficiently, and you can see the results of that advertising so clearly that you can cut the waste, and that leads to the next one here, which is cost efficiency. That precision gives you efficiency. Every dollar is now used for its greatest impact. You can measure every single ad and how it's performing on getting the specific results that you want, and you can cut back your investment in the ads that are not working and put more money and shift more money into the ads that are working. So now, dollar for dollar, you're getting very efficient advertising. You're getting advertising that works in front of the most precisely targeted, relevant audience for your products or services. So there really is no way that you can get more efficient in your advertising, which just means that you have to spend less to get the impact that you're looking for. Number 5 is simplicity. All of what I just described there may have sounded very complicated, but it's not. The amazing thing is that Facebook has done such a fantastic job of designing a really elegant user interface that makes advertising on their platform just super simple. If you have any experience with Google AdWords, you know that that can be a very complicated environment in which to advertise in. It's very easy to go in there and just get lost in all of the details of their platform. But Facebook is exactly the opposite. Even though you have all of this laser targeting in Facebook, the interface to advertise in couldn't be any simpler. I mean, literally, it doesn't matter if you have absolutely no experience in doing this type of advertising. You can get on Facebook and create a campaign in just a matter of minutes, precisely targeting the audience that you want to go after. I think simplicity is very powerful. You spend much less time trying to manage the system and more time managing your advertising. Now, reason number 6 is interest targeting. We've talked about this before. The ideal selling situation is if you could have a one-on-one conversation with somebody that you know is the perfect candidate for your products or services. On the far other end of that spectrum is doing true mass market advertising, where you're running an ad on television and you're putting an ad in a major newspaper or on the radio. You know that the ad is reaching tons and tons of people, but you also know that many of those people are not at all the people that you're going to actually respond to in your advertising. They're not going to respond to your advertising. I'm sorry. So ideally, if you could drive your advertising down to a more personal, conversational level, but still be able to do it to a huge number of people, then you would obviously have just this amazing advertising vehicle. And that's exactly what Facebook allows you to do. It allows you to target your message down to these very small, specific groups of people. And then it allows you to display ads to them in a manner that they're customized and have the right approach to really resonate with that group of people that you're targeting. It just makes every ad that you're putting out there much, much more relevant and much more laser targeted to the audience that you're going after. Let me give you an example of this and why this is so powerful. Now, State Bicycle Company, probably a company you never heard of, makes very high-end types of hipster bikes. These are the bikes that you're going to see on like bike messengers in San Francisco, Austin, or New York City. Now, these bikes cost thousands of dollars, and your typical bicycle buyer is not going to be interested in one of these bikes. But for the right person, this is kind of like having a Ferrari or a Porsche or something like that, right? Now, it's something that people are willing to spend more money on because these bikes really strike a chord with the right type of cyclist. Well, as you can imagine, State Bicycle Company cannot just go do mass media advertising for these bikes. They can't go run commercials on the radio or national TV commercials. You know, your typical father is not going to see an ad for the State Bicycle Company in the Sunday paper, rip out the ad and go down to Walmart and buy a $3,000 or $4,000 bike. This type of product cannot effectively be advertised in traditional advertising channels because it would be just incredibly wasteful, because majority of the people who see it won't spend that kind of money for a bike. They see no use in paying that much. I mean, they would literally go broke trying to advertise their products if they were to go the traditional route. But what they can do in Facebook, though, is they can target people that they know are the likely buyers of their bikes. In selling these bikes for a while, they know that their buyers like certain types of music. They live in certain places. They are part of a certain age group. They were able to take all of that information and create these laser targeted campaigns inside of Facebook. They targeted those things. They targeted the music groups. They targeted the specific cities, San Francisco, Austin, New York City, places like that. And by doing so, they were able to get massive sales from their Facebook advertising and just a huge return on investment on the investment that they made. Again, they're not wasting any of that advertising budget in just any sort of mass media untargeted advertising. I think that demonstrates for a lot of you that have smaller businesses and maybe products that are focused on certain types of niches, the power of using Facebook to target based on those interests to make sure you're reaching the right people. Makes sense? Number 7 is A/B testing, or split testing is what we call it. Now, anybody who's done any advertising online knows that one of the most powerful things about advertising online is that you can do quick and easy tests of one ad versus another ad to find out which of those ads is performing better than the other, and then cut your losses on the weaker ad and raise your investments in the stronger ad. Now, this is something That's very hard to do in traditional advertising. Again, go back to that quote from John Wanamaker. I know that half of my advertising is wasted. I just don't know which half. Well, by doing these simple A/B split tests, you can determine which of your ads are wasteful, and you can put your money behind the top performing ads. This is an example of an A/B split test. You can see here that these two ads look pretty much identical, but on the left hand side, it says, "Are you a fan of tuna fish? Click like below if you enjoy having it on your sandwich." Whereas on the right hand side, it says, "Are you a fan of base jumping? Click like below if you've jumped off a cliff." Now, obviously, these ads are just meant to be silly, but they're targeting a certain person and they're testing which one of these messages is going to be more effectively resonate with that type of person. So you can do simple tests like this very, very quickly and efficiently in Facebook that will give you data to tell you how you should be advertising to your market, which ads are most effective, and where you should be putting your advertising dollars. Again, something very hard to do with your traditional type of advertising. So that's your 7 reasons to advertise in Facebook. I'm going to give you actually one more, one bonus reason, and this is a really, really powerful one. Friends of fans targeting. Now, what do I mean by that? Friends of fans targeting. Well, Facebook is obviously a very social network. I mean, its power is that it drives all of these social connections and gives us a way to interact with your existing social connections, as well as easily make new ones based on our interests. Well, we all know the power of social proof in determining what products or services we buy. If we see our friends like certain types of products, we're more interested in those products. If we have a business colleague of ours that uses certain services at their businesses, we're probably more likely than to try those services at our business. That social proof aspect is powerful, and that's really at the heart of what makes Facebook so powerful. 68% of Facebook users say when a friend's referral would increase their chances of purchasing a given product or service. With Facebook's friends of fans targeting, you can advertise to the friends of your fans. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean is that if I have a Facebook page for my business or for my products on Facebook, and one of my customers like my page, they're now a fan of my page. I can now advertise to their friends. I can say, "Hey, to all the friends of John out there, John likes our products and services. Maybe you should come and check them out as well." So now people viewing our ad will see that someone they know is already a fan or like our brand. Now, this is social proof, and it's incredibly powerful. And this capability is really unique to Facebook. I mean, there are other social platforms that you can do similar type of advertising, but none of those platforms have anywhere near the reach that Facebook has. Now, Facebook is unique in that it has so many people on its network that this type of advertising becomes very powerful. In fact, let me just share with you some of the math. Now, the average Facebook user have 130 friends. So if you advertise to the friends of your fans, and let's say that you have 100 fans, you now have the ability to reach 13,000 of their friends. Imagine that. Imagine if you could have your customers go out and refer your products or services to 13,000 of their friends. Obviously, that would be incredibly powerful for your business. And that's exactly what you can do with friends of fans targeting in Facebook. All right, so that's the 8 reasons. I told you I was going to give you 7. Number 8 is our bonus. I hope you can see now the power of using Facebook advertising and why you should use Facebook advertising for your business compared to some of the other advertising options. Now, let's talk about best practices, because just like anything, there are kind of tricks of the trade in getting the best bang for your buck when working within Facebook. The first one, create an awesome Facebook page. Your Facebook page is kind of like your home in Facebook. It's the equivalent. Now, keep in mind, this is different from your personal page. This is the equivalent of your web page out on just the World Wide Web. It's important that you get this right because everybody that's checking you out is going to see this page. So there are a few guidelines that you want to consider when setting up your page. One, you want to make it visually appealing. Facebook made their timeline changes, and they constantly change and update this thing. They made their timeline changes, which allow you to have much more visual experience inside of Facebook. You want to take advantage of that. Now, there are all kinds of data that shows that people are more engaged by images or photos than they are by words, which is exactly why Facebook made those timeline changes, so that they can make those engaging pictures or photographs more of the experience and keep people in Facebook even longer by keeping them more engaged. So you really want to make sure that you have a visually appealing page. Another thing, you should include freebies and offers if appropriate, depending on your business. If you have something that you can give away or share with your visitors, it could be coupons, free information that you can give them, whatever. People really respond to those type of offers. So anything that you can do to put some sort of freebie on your Facebook page and engage them, that will really, really benefit you. Next, you should be ready to engage. If you're going to have a Facebook page and you're going to focus on this type of marketing, again, the power of Facebook is that social aspect. So if somebody is going to make it to your page and like things and comment on things and be ready to engage with you, then you need to be ready to engage back. So be ready to jump into that conversation with people and make it a truly social experience. If you're not going to participate and engage on Facebook, don't even set this thing up, because it's going to hurt you more than it's going to help you. The more that you can do these types of things, the more engaged your fans are going to be. The more engaged your fans are means the more time they're spending on your site, the more time they're liking your products and your services and your messages that you're putting out there. They're going to like it. The more that you're able to do that, the more that you're able to leverage Facebook's advertising capabilities. Facebook advertising is not just about sticking up an ad. It's about engaging in that social community, and they've got these really powerful ways of allowing you to do just that. The more fans you have and the more engaged those fans are, the more you're going to be able to take advantage of those powerful capabilities. Let me give you an example here of a really nicely done Facebook page. Of course, no huge surprise here. Coca-Cola, which has massive marketing budgets, of course, they're going to spend some time to make sure they get this Facebook thing right. So as you can see here, this is obviously a very visually appealing page. You got bright colors. You got pictures of the iconic Coca-Cola glass bottle that everybody immediately recognizes. You've got a gal up there on the top right chugging down her Coca-Cola and getting the refreshment that we all associate with Coca-Cola. So as you can see here, it's a very visually appealing page. And you can see here is this amazing. I mean, just look, it's nice. It's nice. If I circle around here, let me see. I'm just looking for something. Bear with me for just a second. Okay, here we go. If I circle around here, you can see that Coca-Cola has 51 million likes and 778,000 people talking about their brand right now. Now that number is insane. They've done a nice job here of creating an appealing page that is going to draw people in and keep them engaged. So this here is a nice page. I think some other brands that you'd recognize are really good ones to go check out. Starbucks has a fantastic page, and they do a really nice job of engaging people on their Facebook page. So think about some of your favorite brands and go check out their Facebook pages if you haven't already. Now, when you go and check them out, do so with a little bit more of a critical eye. I mean, take a look at the things that they're doing well and maybe note some of the things that they could improve upon and take some of those lessons back to your own Facebook page as you start planning your advertising on Facebook. Make sense? All righty. Next, do your research. Facebook has this incredible amount of data, and they have this incredible targeting capability. You want to be able to use that to your fullest advantage. So one of the things I recommend you do is start by using services like Alexa or Quantcast to get information about the audience that you're already engaging in or doing business with. Now, Alexa and Quantcast can give you very powerful data about the people that are visiting your website or even your competitor's website. So not your Facebook page, but I'm talking about your website. Assuming you have customers that are already visiting your website, they can give you data about who those people are. Alexa or Quantcast, they can give you data about those people. They can give you the demographic information, telling you what age group they're in, where they're from, and how much they're making. All of that stuff you can get from Alexa.com or Quantcast. By getting that information, you can take that information and say, okay, if those are the type of people that are currently already my customers and shopping with me, I can take that data and I can use that to target similar types of people in Facebook. And Facebook has some capabilities that will allow you to do that within their own system as well. You can also get other information such as what websites they frequent. So again, Alexa and Quantcast can tell you, hey, the people who visit your website also visit these other types of websites. Now you can say, all right, by seeing what other websites they're visiting, I'm starting to get a better understanding of the interest of my customers. And again, you can now use that data to target people in Facebook. Now, another trick is you can search on YouTube for the keywords that are associated with your business. You can find good information about the types of things that people are visiting, the types of videos that they're visiting related to your keywords. You can just learn all kinds of information about the interest of those people inside of YouTube. Now, this is a cool way of really spying to some extent on your customers. I mean, you're not spying on them as an individual, you're spying on them as a group and getting to understand, okay, who is a customer of my business? What are their interests? What are these people up to every day? You can use that information to then build more targeted campaigns inside of Facebook. So if you're not familiar already with Alexa or Quantcast, I want to show you real quick. This is a screenshot from Alexa, and this is just showing a website in Alexa. It's showing the traffic for the last 3 months and who it's reaching. But I think what's cool is up here, you can see in these tabs, analytics and audience information. So you got search analytics, you got audience, and there's a lot of information you can get from these tabs. So just go in there and just kind of poke around for free and learn a lot of information about who it is that's actually visiting your website. So they'll tell you the sites these people go to, so there's a lot of data that you can get. Let's see here. So just go to Alexa. It's alexa.com, alexa.com, and plug in your URL. Just put it in, type in your domain name, and you will see some of the interesting information you can get and then apply to your campaigns in Facebook. Now, here are some examples of the type of data that you can get. For example, is it men or women? Are they professional? What age group? Where do they live? What types of cars do they drive? Do they like Oprah? Do they not like Oprah? These are just the types of things that you can literally target in Facebook, so you can get down to this level of detail in your targeting your campaigns. Now, a next best practice in advertising is to tell your visitors what to do. Now, you want to include a clear call to action, specifically telling your audience what step to take next. And again, this happens in your ads. So you can see over here on the right is an advertisement for a company called Just Fab, JustFab.com. Just Fab. It says, do you love shoes? It has and you can see here, it has an intriguing picture of a set of shoes. And obviously these very bright colored and very high heel shoes will grab many women's attention. Now, then in the description, it says, have new shoes delivered to you every month, personalized and picked by our stylists. Click here and check out justfab.com. So it's telling you very specifically to click here to check them out. You may think, well, that's not a big deal. How is that going to make much of a difference in my advertising? Well, it's been proven over and over and over again that by having specific directions in your advertisements, you're going to get much, much, much better response and much, much more action taken by visitors. So that could be click here, learn more, join us, enter your email address, buy now. Those types of things are specific directions where you are telling the visitor what to do, and they are very, very effective in getting more response from your ads. It compared to not having any type of call to action in your ad at all. Next, appeal to self-interest. Now, highlight any benefits, sales, or similar specials your business is offering that would be beneficial and would appeal to the interest, the self-interest of your visitors. So here's another one again. Do you love shoes? And of course, they have a picture of a shoe, an I love you symbol up here. And then let's see here. Get gorgeous shoes delivered to your door. Just $39.95 with free shipping and a 50% off welcome offer. So free shipping and that 50% off welcome offer are going to be appealing to that shoe shopper and hopefully get them to click on that ad versus just seeing it and going by without taking any type of action. So appeal to the self-interest. Mention any specific offers you can, any deals, it discounts, things like that the viewer can take advantage of. Use eye-catching imagery. In fact, an image is the first and most important piece of a Facebook ad. Facebook ads are meant to some extent to just kind of hide in the background while you're enjoying Facebook. Now, Facebook has been very clear that they don't want to really bother their users with too many ads. You know, they don't want the ads to be too much of a distraction from the overall Facebook experience. So you literally have to draw somebody's eyes over to the ads if you want to get their attention. And the way to do that, first and foremost, is with an image or a photograph. Now, people are visually oriented and will get pulled over to your ad by an image much more effectively than they will to just text or words. Now, the words still are very important, you know, once you've got them there, but it's the image that's going to get them there in the first place. So again, going back to our high heels example, these bright colors, you can see that this would be an image that would definitely draw somebody's eyes over. In fact, there are certain types of images that are proven to work better than others. Attractive women draw more eyes than just about anything else. Pictures of babies, pictures of pets. These are all very effective advertising pictures. And, you know, say, I know somebody may be offended by that, but we're just going by statistics here. You know, and when you're trying to run ads and spending your money, you want to get the best bang for your buck. You want to get the most response. You want to get the thing that's going to work. You know, so those are some of the things that just generally pull people over. Now, if you pay close attention to ads on Facebook here over the next week or so, you'll see that people will use those images even if they have nothing to do with their products or services. And that's just proving the point. Now, these are people that are spending their money. So they're testing different things. They figured out what's working. Those images draw people, and then it's the words that keep them there. So always look for evocative pictures, uncluttered images, not just stock images. You're actually better off if you use just some real image taken with your own cell phone camera. Ideally, the images are relevant, but as I just said, it's certainly not always necessary. Consider close-ups of people, white backgrounds to really make the colors of your image pop, and something branded if you can. If you got a strong brand that you can use in your ads, then absolutely take advantage of that. Use time props. Now, create a sense of urgency in your ads to encourage people to take action right away. Again, advertising is all about getting people to take action so you can build that into your campaign. You can build offers, act now. The offer ends in the next 24 hours, so take action today. Now, that type of thing will again encourage response and will actually bump up the effectiveness of your ads. So again, create a sense of urgency. Act now. Offer ends today. Pique their curiosity. Now, there are all kinds of data on what works best in Facebook to get engagement, and the number one thing happens to be pictures. People absolutely love pictures. Again, we're very visually oriented, but very high up there is questions we feel we need an answer to. if there's just a lingering question out there, we feel a need to answer it. So asking questions in your ads, in your Facebook post or on your page will encourage more action from people. So consider phrasing your ad in the form of a question. Testing multiple offers. As I said earlier, you should always be testing and trying different things. So test coupons, test asking someone to like your page, or test using some sort of event invitation to invite them to do something. Maybe have an open house at your store, or to attend some sort of training event that you'll hold online via a webinar or something like that. You should always test different types of offers, because what you'll find is that certain offers will dramatically create a different response than others. Use sentence fragments. Now, in this very small advertising space that you have in Facebook, is no place to worry about having really proper grammar. You will actually get more effectiveness with short, choppy sentences versus long sentences. I think they're a little bit jarring to people in some way, because they're not these full sentences, and you can really kind of quicken the pace of the reading. So just an example down here that says, great gifts, half price, great deal, buy now. You'll see this type of thing in Facebook ads, and there's a reason for it. Again, that choppiness kind of draws your attention toward the ad. It's different than what you're used to seeing in marketing. Different is good. So don't worry about having perfect grammar in Facebook. Use sentence fragments, make it short, choppy, and it will actually be a much more effective ad. So moving along here, I'm sorry, my thing here just getting stuck a little bit, and we're just about done. So bear with me a few more minutes. So use smart bidding strategies. Now, again, you can be very precise in your advertising and your budgeting, which can make it very efficient. But as with advertising, there are tricks to the trade. So there are a handful of things that you want to consider here. One, start with CPM advertising versus CPC. Now, CPC advertising is just short for cost per click. So you're only paying when you get clicks. Now, CPM advertising means you're paying no matter what. You're just paying for the visibility that your ad is getting. Now, why would you want to do that to start? Well, the reason why is Facebook gets paid when you do CPM advertising, right? Now, Facebook obviously has incentives to make sure that they're extracting as much revenue as they can from their advertising. So as you can imagine, there's a limited amount of inventory, a limited amount of opportunity to show ads to any given person in Facebook. There are only so many ads on the side of the page, and there's only so much time that that person is spending in Facebook in a day. Well, Facebook has to decide, do they show one ad versus the other? If you can bid based on the CPM strategy, you are communicating to Facebook that, hey, you're going to get paid. Even if my ad stinks and it doesn't get any clicks, you're going to get paid. Now, obviously, Facebook has incentive to show your ad over somebody else who's bidding on a pay-per-click basis. So I suggest that you start there, because it gives you the best chance of getting your ad shown and getting the visibility you need to start collecting really good data about your ad to see if it's working. Now, you can always change the ad later. You can always start up the exact same ad, but doing it on a pay-per-click basis once you learn more about how effective that ad is, and you can start experimenting with those different bidding strategies. But I suggest you start with CPM. I'd also suggest that you start within the bid estimate that Facebook recommends. When you go to place an ad on Facebook, they will tell you, hey, we think that this ad will get shown the maximum amount of times if you bid between, let's say, 50 cents and $1. Now, the reality is that you can oftentimes get that ad shown no problem by bidding less than 50 cents. But again, I suggest that you start within their estimated range for the exact same reasons that I just described above. You're kind of showing Facebook that you're willing to pay them and then back down from there as you get more experience in understanding how well that ad is performing or not performing. But again, I think that's important to start that way with Facebook. And again, it shows your ad more and you can get some data. Once you get some data back, you can start changing some of the things around within your ad to create the ultimate ad. And then if you want to jump to the pay-per-click model, you can. But you might also, and again, there's some strategies to this because you might be able to get a better return on investment by sticking with CPM. But that's for another strategy. And we'll talk about that later. But again, start with a budget of at least $50 a day. You want to show Facebook that, hey, if you run my ads, there's enough money there to pay you a decent amount of money. If you have a really, really tiny budget, Facebook could say, well, again, I'm going to show somebody else's ad who has more money to spend. So think about how you can motivate Facebook to show your ads when you're creating your bidding strategy. And then if you got some reputation in Facebook and the system knows that you're serious about advertising, you can start tweaking and turning those bidding strategies to start conserving even more budget. Landing in the right spot. Now, what I mean by this is that when somebody clicks your ad, you want to make sure that you're taking them to the right place. And when I say the right place, I mean you could literally drive that person anywhere. You can drive them to a web page off of Facebook, or you could drive them to your page within Facebook. There are really unlimited opportunities here. So you want to make sure that you can drive them to some place that's relevant and has the best chance of converting. You want to drive your visitors or the people who click on your ad to a page that ideally have a real tight message match. In other words, if I clicked on an ad advertising discounted shoes, I should be taken to a page about discounted shoes. I shouldn't have to go find the page on your website that has the discounted shoes. You should take me there directly. If there's too big of a gap between the ad that I clicked and the page that I end up on, obviously it's going to be a little confusing to me and I'm not going to actually engage with your brand. I'm likely to click off and get away. So focus on that message match. Focus on getting the conversion you want on that next page, whether it's to get them to opt into a list or to get them to buy something. Whatever it is, make sure the page is really designed around that accomplishment. Now, what has been found is that ideally what you're doing is you're driving them to a Facebook page. Facebook likes it if you keep the user within Facebook. So ideally, if you can drive them to a Facebook page first, and then once they're on your Facebook page, you can do whatever you want with them. But personally, although I said that, you have to determine what action you want these people to take. And if the action that you want your user to take happens to be on a page on your website, then you need to take them there. So speaking of those results, you've got to make sure that you track your results. You just got to track it. Most people don't do it. The power of Facebook and the power of online marketing is that everything can be tracked. So you got to use those analytics to your advantage. So you should be looking for the major factors that tell you whether your advertising is working, such as click-through rate. That's what you want to look at. If your click-through rate is too low, then you want to say, okay, let's pause and figure out what we're doing with this ad, where we can make some improvements. The real secret to that is to run multiple ads at the same time. So typically I'll run at least 5 to 10 ads in my campaign to start. Rather than guessing what's going to work or what's not going to work, I'll just throw up a whole bunch of different ideas and let them all run at the same time and see which one outperforms the other. Now, it's hard to know from the beginning which one is going to work. I mean, you're going to always be surprised in doing these ads to see which ones are actually the ones that are the most effective. So run a bunch of ads at the same time, study the analytics, look for the data to tell you which ad is more successful. And then once you figure that out, throw your budget behind that particular ad. Show restraint with your advertising. As I mentioned before, Facebook doesn't want your advertising to stick out like a sore thumb. They don't want it to mess up the user experience, and they're very, very thoughtful and careful about that. I mean, Facebook could be making a lot more money for a period of time here if they just started blasting ads all over the place. There's a lot of advertising things that they're not currently doing, but they're smart and they know that. They don't want to screw up the user experience. So keep in mind, Facebook don't want you to be too aggressive. Also keep in mind that people aren't necessarily in a buying mindset when they're on Facebook. They're there to hang out and engage in conversation with their friends. So be kind of gentle with those users. Don't club them over the head with really aggressive advertising. Facebook actually wants you to, and they've said this publicly, they want you to focus on longer term advertising and longer term conversations with your audience. Facebook actually believes that they are changing marketing and advertising, and the way it happens is in long term, not immediate. Another thing, most people give up too easily. Don't do it. You're going to make some mistakes. We covered a lot of stuff today, and I know this stuff is easy to get overwhelmed. It can be easy to think, oh man, my campaign is not working. Maybe I'll throw in the towel. Well, I would encourage you not to give up so easily. Stick with it, because I've seen Facebook advertising work in just about every single industry out there. It really comes down to having the right strategy. If your advertising doesn't work, take some of the advice that we covered today. Step back and take a look. Does your ad stink? I mean, be honest. Could you create a better ad? If you only have one ad out there, remember, we throw up 10 at a time to see which one is performing. In most cases, if you're not doing a lot of split testing, I mean, again, you won't know what's going to work. Split test your ads, split test lots of different images, change out those images, go out there and look at other people in your industry. What are they doing? What are they doing to have success? Like I've said, I've seen Facebook advertising work in just about every single industry. The reason it don't work for many people is because they quit too soon. They give up. They don't put in the time, effort, and energy. Yes, you're going to blow some money. That happens. So if you're a quitter, it's not going to work out for you. I can tell you that now. So those are my tips. I do have some frequently asked questions that I was just going to cover here to head off to you. I know some of the questions that have come in we'll cover here, because I get these questions all the time about Facebook. And one of those questions is about Google AdWords. Why not Google AdWords? If you spent time using Google AdWords, you'd say, well, why not just stick with Google? Well, I'll tell you this, Google AdWords is a great platform. Use them all the time, made a bunch of money for our clients. But this is not an either or situation. And I think it's really important that you understand that. Google AdWords is fantastic when somebody is searching for something specific. They know what they want and they know that they need it. That's who you're getting in the Google AdWords. Facebook, on the other hand, is great for brand building or for products that a specific demographic always want. Again, going back to our women's shoe example, not to stereotype them, but women are interested in shoes. So you can advertise your shoe store to women on Facebook and just know that long term, hey, women are interested in shoes. And if you continue to run ads, there's a good likelihood that they'll eventually going to respond to one of those ads. So it's not search based. So it really is a different type of advertising approach than Google AdWords. It's not an either or situation. And I definitely suggest that you look into both platforms. They can both be very, very effective for your business. Don't just get stuck on working within one model. You should be doing using multiple sources of media to reach out to your market. Now, which markets are succeeding? This here is interesting. This is from TBG Digital, click-through rate leaders by industry. I thought this was really interesting. You see food and drink, number 1. Beauty and fitness, number 2. Home and gardening. You can see travel, computers and electronics, automotive, entertainment, jobs, and education. So pretty interesting to see. I would not have guessed that food and drink would be number 1. That was a bit surprising to me to see, but all of the industries are having success on Facebook. Certainly, if you fit into any one of these categories, you can have some pretty good success yourself. Now, I know you may be overwhelmed. We covered a lot of stuff. And if so, I just want to let you know that we can help. This is what we do for a living, and I would certainly be absolutely happy to help you in developing a Facebook marketing strategy. Now, if there's currently something you're doing on Facebook that you don't think is as effective as it should be, we can certainly analyze that and see if we can give you some suggestions. If you're starting from scratch and you realize you'd like to have a helping hand to help you get through Facebook advertising as efficiently and as effectively as possible, well, we'd like that opportunity as well. So certainly not a high pressure sales pitch, and I hope you enjoyed the education you got today. But if you need anything or if you have any questions, we'll be glad to help and have a conversation with you and see if it's a fit to work together. And on that note, I'm going to take some additional questions, and let's see here. I got a few that you all submitted here. Let me see. One person asked, my ads are getting good click-through rate. My ads aren't getting good click-through rate. What should I do? Good question. Now, if your ads aren't getting good click-through rate, then there's just something about the ads. They're just not compelling to the people that are seeing them. So I have I have a handful of specific suggestions for you here, without knowing all the details. Again, I would start with testing different images. Images are important to getting people to actually notice your ad and take action on them. It's the number one factor in getting someone to see your ad, and actually click-through rate will typically go up. So the image would be the first place I'd start with there. Remember, test images. Create 10 ads with 10 different images. I'd take one ad and I would change nothing but the image, and I would come up with 10 totally different image variations and run them all and see what happens. This is something that you're going to spend money in testing. But once you find that winner, it changes everything. Next, from there, definitely consider what offer you have in your ad. If you find an image that seems to be more compelling and is getting people's attention, certainly consider what the offer is. Is there something that you can do to make that offer more intriguing? Offering some sort of discount, a freebie, or something like that. Finally, I just say if all that is still leaving you a little bit stumped and you're still not happy with the results you're getting, then I think probably it probably comes down to targeting. Are you really showing your ads to the right group of people? And can you get more precise with that targeting? So I hope that helps you there. Feel free to email us support@webmediaparkway.com, and we can take a look further and possibly discuss some options for you. The other question that I have here is, what are examples of good offers to put on Facebook? Well, we covered this a bit before. I think, again, things like coupons, anything you can give away for free, anything where you can give somebody a good discount, invitations to exclusive events or opportunities, stuff like that. All of those types of things work really well. And again, it depends on your business. You'll have to kind of think through what specifically will work best for your audience or your industry. Somebody says, I've seen contests run on Facebook. Is that something that we can take advantage of through Facebook advertising? Yeah, contests on Facebook are a very, very effective form of marketing. Facebook is experimenting with some different capabilities that are native to the Facebook marketing platform to run basic contests and surveys and things like that. But really, the best way to do that is to use perhaps a third-party application out there that allows you to run those types of contests very easily. Many of these third-party applications integrate with Facebook and allow you to do just that. You do have to be really careful because there are some very specific and really pretty aggressive laws around what kind of contest you run and how the specific rules around those work. So I definitely recommend that you get some good advice on that and use an application that's designed to make sure that you're following all the rules so you don't get yourself into any hot water with Facebook. I know I promised I'd keep this thing down to around 45 minutes, and I'm over that already. So I'm actually going to close out this presentation. But let me say this. If you have questions, email us at support@webmediaparkway.com. Visit our website. We have a lot more resources on the website at our website, www.webmediaparkway.com. I'd like to encourage you that if you have any additional questions or feel like there's an opportunity to take advantage of Facebook at your business, we'd certainly be thrilled to have a conversation with you and see if there's a good fit for us to maybe help you. So thank you again very much for your time and attention today. We really appreciate it. There are a few outstanding questions that came in. I will get back to you via email within 48 hours with answers to those questions. I'm going to answer every one of them. So again, thank you very much for your time and attention. Have a wonderful day.